Before starting the presentation, a brief introduction about me. My name is Santosh. I work at the Wikimedia Foundation Language Engineering team. We develop and maintain Wikimedia projects in 300 languages. As you know, Wikimedia projects are available. Wikipedia is also available in around 300 plus languages. I don't think any other projects in the world exist in that many languages. So that also involves a lot of challenging language computing and general computing questions. So today I'm going to present some of the interesting challenges we faced and the solutions we prepared and how you can use it for you to internationalize your applications. So as you see, the title of the presentation was i18, how using Wikimedia i18n libraries to internationalize your web applications. So what exactly this i18n? i18n is a short form for internationalization, and how it is short form, it is I and then some 18 letters and then N to make it pronounced easier. Okay, so actually internationalization means making your web application ready for any language. So preparing your web application that can work for any other language. Once you internationalize your application, somebody else has to localize it. Localizing means adapting that internationalized application to your own language. And that localization is again abbreviated as L10N because there is 10 letters between L and N. Okay. So if I use i18n or L10N in my talk, just understand that it is just an internationalization and localization. So before I go to slides, I want to know how many of you have written any JavaScript or HTML applications for languages other than English. Good, good. Oh, great. That's a pleasant surprise. Okay, so you might be knowing the challenges, like if you want to make your application working on multiple languages, you can never hard code your interface messages in your application. You need to externalize it, right? You need to take the strings in your application to a separate file, localize it, and based on the interface language, you need to load it. Okay, so let us see how it works using some sample code. Say we have a span, we have some input area, and suppose we need to, in the span we need to display some like this. There's a span, there's a text area, text box. You need to display something here, but it should be internationalized. You can externalize the strings and you can translate it, and finally you get it. Okay, it looks very easy, but it's not that much easy. Suppose you are doing some search, okay? So you will get search results. You need to display dynamically the text, right? So you can, what you need to display, found one result. Okay, so you don't know how many results you will get. So you'll put in brackets, yes, okay? Or you are sure that you will be always using results, always, okay? So both of them are completely wrong, right? But this is not as strange. You have seen this in many websites. They will be using yes in brackets, right? Because they don't know what it is. And there will be some websites that will use his/her, right? Because they are not sure about the gender. But that's like, yeah, that works. That's how it works. But let us see how we can improve that situation. Normally, if you want to display this text, you will write this kind of code. Okay, this works, but it works only for English. So you might be knowing that, or you might not be knowing that plural syntax, it is only singular and plural in English. But how about other languages? Do you know Arabic has 6 plural forms? Okay, Russian has, I think, 4, and there are many languages with more than 2 plural forms. So, for example, for some language, 92, a number 92 will be some plural form. Okay, the syntax is the way they calculate plural form is very weird. Okay, so and first of all, that the number of plural forms. Second, you are assuming some English syntax formation rules that is valid only for English. So when I say found 6 results, okay, found is the verb 6 results, whatever you see, but the order is completely different. You cannot form that kind of strings for all languages. For example, if it is Hindi, you need to put the number in the first, but it differs. It cannot scale. If you write your, if then else code in your JavaScript, it will not scale, and it will not. Maybe you can do it 1 or 2 languages, but it will not scale. Particularly, it's a big problem for us because we are supporting 300 languages, and we don't want to do that many if-else condition and knowing all the plural rules, right? And it's really a big problem, right? For example, other than plural, there is some concept called gender also, right? So when I say a male name and her, then that is completely wrong, right? If I say something like that to a person, so the behavior will be, we cannot expect it, okay? So that's very weird in many languages. Even, the Hindi, right? In Hindi, the verb changes based on the gender of the actor, right? Likhta, likhte, likhti, okay? So it should be syntactically correct if you form dynamic message on the JavaScript. And this is very important because nowadays interface messages are dynamically formed on the user interface. The web interface is getting more rich and you are generating the interface dynamically. Then again, the problem of scalability. You cannot learn all these languages and language rules and making sure that everything is working perfectly, right? And that is not your job. You are not writing any language processing application. You might be writing some social networking application or something that applies to your business. It's not your intention to write a language processing application for all languages. So it's not plural, it's also gender. So you would have seen in Facebook and others, so some profile name changed his, her profile, right? So we cannot put a slash there. We should be able to put actual her or his, but this is English. As you know, for Hindi and many languages, the verb changes based on the gender, right? And this is again a problem. If you are not making this syntactically correct, if you are putting his, her, and her here, then it is more than buggy. It's an indirect way of addressing the users, right? And it can be interpreted in any way. Again, other than gender, we have numbers. So you cannot assume that. Maybe I have seen in many places you will be violating the numbers based on 1 to 9, right? That will go completely wrong if you are, if it is not English. Arabic people can enter in digits in Arabic format. So this is Hindi way of writing. This is not a constructor sentence. This is actually a copy paste from a Hindi Wikipedia. So you can see from July 2003 Merla. Okay, so we should be able to, and based on the interface language change, we should be able to dynamically change the numbers according to that location. Another example is decimal places. We use comma for separating, right? When you write 1000, it is 1,000, right? But in some languages, this is Netherlands, this is actually not point. This is how in many European countries they write, okay? And for decimal places, they put comma, okay? So we should be able to we should be very sensitive to this one, and at the runtime, we should be able to dynamically change the number separation logic. And again, think about doing this for all the languages, okay, and in a very scalable way. So to address this problem, and we were already addressing this in the Wikimedia Foundation's flagship project, which is MediaWiki, for a long time, and you can see this in action in all the wikis if you see. But one interesting thing about language engineering is this will be often unnoticed because you are saying the correct thing. This will get noticed only when it went wrong. Okay, so otherwise you will not notice it. You will see just okay, this is quite natural. I am addressing her or his. Okay, So this is already available in MediaWiki. So, but nowadays we are putting some effort to make sure that yeah, we had done lots of efforts and community had contributed lots of rules about the languages. Why can't we put this as a general purpose library so that any developer who's writing multilingual applications can easily use it without worrying about all these problems about the languages? So I'm not going more into the depth. Instead, I'm just showing an example or demonstrating how it is working. Okay. Okay. Put English. Let's get one scenario like we are constructing one sentence. We have a username that can be Meta or Harry, okay, just male and female, and we have a number. It's a variable. It changes at runtime, and we need to display it at the runtime. Okay, so this sentence is syntactically correct, right? Meta has one kitten. She loves to play with it. What happens if I change to 3? Do you see? Now this also syntactically correct. It has 3 kittens. She loves to play with them. And what happens if I change the username this to male name? See how it changes. Okay, he, it became he, and with the number it becomes them. Okay, then let's try something else. This may not be familiar with you. This is right to left, and it's keyboard works. Maybe yeah. So. Maybe some of you will be knowing to read Malayalam. So here I can change again to Shrida. Then Aven becomes Aval. So the female, this is female. Previously it was male when it was Hari. Okay, and it is multiple. So I need to say multiple way. Okay. So you can see that at runtime, the interface message changes, and you notice that there is no screen reloading or anything. It's all dynamically, and you need not worry about all the syntax, grammar, plural form, gender, number formatting, nothing. It just write some code and write the source English language, translators translate to multiple languages, and this JavaScript jQuery library takes care of or knows all the magic to make sure that the sentence is syntactically correct. So let us walk through some of the code, how this works. Okay, I need to okay, something like a car example where we have something and we have a data attribute. That is basically the message key, and message keys will be externalized as we usually do, and it will be like a message key. And this is the interesting part. It's not actually the plain HTML, plain message. We have some magic here. So for writing the editing in Wikipedia, this syntax will be very familiar. It's the magic words. So you need to say these are the placeholders. That is what gets replaced at the runtime, and we need to say that this is the magic word based on the number of cars. It will become car or cars. Okay, so since it is English, we have 2 plural forms, and when we have multiple plural forms, it will be repeated. But usually, this will be translating this message will be the task of the translators, and we have a lot of interfaces to translate to multiple languages. So this is translation example. So I can say based on the number, if it is 1 car or a car, multiple car word, and this is a Hebrew example. But once you do that, just code that whatever, even any selector, check the selector.i18n, and at dynamically your interface translates based on the language changes. Okay, so it becomes like this. Okay, so that's what actually you saw in the source code. Okay. Yeah. This is how it is getting parsed. Okay, this is quite irrelevant unless you are interested in the backend logic. Well, that's about the internationalization library. It can do automatic, so you just need to include the JavaScript and call the $.agent, unless you are interested in how it is done in the backend. Okay, so I'm not going to explain how it is done in the backend because I don't have time, and it's a very big parser and abstract syntax tree. Okay, going back to the presentation again. This is again scalable. It's tested and documented for 300 plus languages. Open source, obviously. Developed and maintained by Wikimedia language engineering team, and it's quite extensively used in Media Wiki and in Wikimedia projects. This is what I explained now. Placeholders, that is dynamic number replacement, plural forms, gender, grammar, digit transformations, language fallbacks. That's also an interesting thing because translation doesn't happen in a single day. So if there is no translation, say for Maithili, it can fall back to a fallback language. For Maithili, it can be, because it's very similar to Hindi, you can go to Hindi, and even Hindi is not translated, it can go to English. Okay. So, internationalized. But once we internationalize, how will we make sure that whatever we are showing in non-Latin content is available and readable for all the users? So how many of you have seen this kind of font missing errors, right? So yeah, it's so very obvious. Like our computers, even though it's quite popular, operating system is getting more updates, still it requires some manual process to install the required fonts. Okay, so you will see this kind of things, and we don't want to show this kind of squares, particularly for Wikipedia users who will be landing. Okay, so they hear that there's a Wikipedia in Myanmar language, they go to my.wikipedia.org and they don't want to see this. Okay, we want to make sure that even though the fonts are not available in their system, we want to show the fonts. We want to show the content. Okay, so we are using the web font, CSS3 web font technology, and over the last 1 year we collected all the open licensed fonts from all over the languages and created a web repository, and we wrote a wrapper library over that. But that was again Media Wiki, but now we are releasing as a general purpose JavaScript jQuery library. So you just need to use something like okay, like this. Just in your HTML, use the HTML standard language attribute. Just say web fonts. That's it. So it will take care of loading the fonts from the server and showing it in the client based on the default fonts. You do not know which font it should be loaded, and everything will be based on the Hindi. So for Hindi there will be a default font. Like that we have web fonts for around 20 languages, almost all Indian languages covered. And actually if you go to Hindi Wikipedia now, you can see that the content will be displayed in an open source licensed font called Lohit Devanagari. Obviously you can disable it, but that's how in almost Indian Wikipedia's content is delivered now. So you no longer see Indian Wikipedia content with this missing font. Okay, this was deployed around 1 year back, and nobody will actually notice that because they are able to see the content. Okay, they will complain only if it is not working. Okay. Well, okay, I can write it. Sorry, I can read it. How will I write it? Okay, so your application may not be just a read-only application. People want to type it, right? So again, typing in non-Indian, non-English languages is very difficult. Okay, how many of you know how to type in your mother tongue? Good, see. Okay, only few people. Okay, so the reason for this is multiple reasons. Main thing is in schools and all, people are taught to write using pen, not using computers nowadays. But I hope that scenario will be changing. People will be taught to type in their language soon. again, how to use that tools, right? Typing tools in your computer. You need to configure it, all those things. And obviously, for us, Wikipedia, the main part is editing, and we want to make sure that people want to edit Wikipedia content in non-English languages are provided with enough tools. Okay, and this was again deployed in almost all Indian Wikipedias. If you see, you can see the typing tool integrated into the Wikipedia, but it's again Wikipedia. Okay, that doesn't serve the all other JavaScript or HTML developers who want to develop multilingual websites. So we released and we decoupled that dependency with the MediaWiki, and we are releasing as a new JavaScript library called j3.ime. Yeah, you don't see anything, but if you and focus on this one, you will see a small keyboard icon there. You can click, you can select the languages. For example, I can select Tamil. By default, something is selected. Okay, and I can type something. It's typing. You can move to the text and into the next text area. You are still, that option is still remembered. And this option is available in around 60 languages. That is just almost Indian languages covered, and plus many non-English languages. All these libraries, documentation, test, source code, everything is available in github.com/Wikimedia. That's what you need to remember. Okay, so there you can see all the documentation, source code, examples, etc. Well, I just want to, the time is almost up. I want to show another example. Only if your website is using multiple languages, that is not a few, but a large number of languages like Wikipedia. Soon you will be seeing a new language selector in Wikimedia projects. Hope you people see a long list of languages in the left side of the articles, right? It's very difficult to find out languages. The new selector is going to be like this. Okay, so there you can select, this is cross language. You can type in any script to get language in any other script. And you can type using, say, Hindi, you can get Hindi. Hindi is also using Fiji Hindi, or Tamil, or also completion. So the ML, you can select automatically the language change, and you see the new interface in Malayalam. Okay, and you can change to something else, Japanese. Interface change to Japanese. Okay, so this tool, language selection tool, you will be seeing soon in Wikipedia. And that's about the libraries and everything. And I don't have enough time to explain in depth, but if anybody interested, you can contact me after this talk or tomorrow. Okay, I can explain the basic algorithms, backend, etc. And now it's time for some questions.
Is it an offline library? Like if my application does not have any corresponding connect?
Yeah, so the question is whether it is an offline or whether it is depending on some service. Okay, so actually it is not dependent, it's a standalone library. It's a pure JavaScript, no dependencies on the server, self-contained.
One more question. There have been cases, like I have experienced this, like, we develop a web application for over many months, okay, and we deliver it, and finally the customer comes back. I want the exact same website for Israelis. So
yep.
The whole website is right to back.
Yep.
So do you have any best practices or things like that, so that such localization challenges are handled?
Yes,
yes. I have to arrange all my controls right to back, and that can't be done very easily.
Yeah. The question is how it can be easily done for right to left language. A right to left language is like a Hebrew, Arabic, and the Urdu family. So the important thing is about having HTML attribute called dir attribute inside the elements, and most of the time browsers are very intelligent to switch the direction, but that's not enough actually. If you have a very complex layout for the website, and if you are switching to some other language, you want to make sure that it is properly switched, right? So just want to show an example. this is English, okay? So if I want to switch this language to Hebrew, I'm switching to Hebrew now. Okay, so you can see that everything changed from right to left, right? Okay, so this is one way of doing this is having dir attribute. That's not enough. We need to switch all the CSS. Like align left should become align right. Left should become right. Okay, so we have a if you are interested, there is a library called CSS Janus, CSS JANUS, and using that one you can flip the CSS for the left to right to the right to left CSS. So what it will do is it will change all the left attributes in the CSS to the right. Okay, and you can specify images. For example, if you say left arrow and using that in the right RTL page, it's a wrong meaning. So you need to switch the images also, right? So CSS Janus can do that, and we are actually using it in the video. So this flipping, CSS flipping now is done by that tool.
So this CSS Janus, is it a tool to flip my files, flip all my CSS code, or is it in runtime? Or is it a tool to just generate the files?
In Wikimedia, we use it at a runtime, but it is possible to generate the right to left CSS offline also.
Do you have any guidelines for the internationalization as involved, like how the wrapping should be and all that?
Yes, for MediaWiki and for the whole Wikimedia language engineering, we have lots of guidelines. If you just go to mediawiki.org/i18n, you will get a big document, and some guidelines, how to use gender, how to use grammar, transformation, plural. These guidelines are there. It will be a bit focused on the MediaWiki, but you can find some generic ideas.
Regarding the web fonts, so is it supported in browsers like IE8 in the sense that can we get the same kind of rendering in older browsers as well?
Yep. So web font technology came in IE6 with their own proprietary font format called embedded OpenType EOT format, and later another format came. Actually, it's a TrueType fonts. And then later W3C defined another format for all of the browsers called Web Open Font Format, WOF. Okay, so actually to make sure that this works in all browsers, you need to serve multiple font formats based on some CSS manipulation conditionally you need to serve. We are doing that. We are keeping the fonts in multiple formats: EOT, WOF, and TrueType font, and for Latin languages SVG format also. So you need to keep all this format, and based on the browser you need to serve. So if the underlying operating system has the rendering support, and if the problem is missing font, this can solve it. Yeah.
So the problem is not with just individual HTML controls, right?
For example, the problem is not with individual HTML controls. For example, the UI format is always a label followed by a text box.
Yep.
So the whole thing has to be flipped. So it's not just the controls.
Yeah.
So how do you handle that?
Yeah. So again, it should be wrapped in a div with the left to right, right to left. Yeah. Any other questions? Yep, there is one question. Yep, it's a jQuery plugin. Okay, I can hear you. Yeah.
So what if when it doesn't use jQuery, it just relies on native JavaScript?
Okay. So yeah, that's a bit difficult question. Basically, we used jQuery for having lots of abstraction and making sure that it's easy to load, but I don't think it will be difficult to write in something else. But MediaWiki is completely dependent on JavaScript and jQuery especially, so that's why we wrote. But I think it can be ported, and even you can have a node wrapper on that. That will be easy.
Right. So do you have any plan for porting it without removing the dependency on jQuery?
Not now. because we don't have enough developers to do that. But if anybody interested, we can really do that.
Like the similar effort by Google in their transliteration and their web form.
Yeah.
So how do you compare your Wikimedia's effort compared to the Google?
Yeah. So multiple ways to compare. One is the number of languages supported. So we support more languages than Google, obviously. Second is all the services and all the software we are providing is open source and publicly available. On the other hand, for Google, it is APIs are available for the public. Those are the two ways of comparing. And third is all the Wikimedia libraries are tested and used by, say, in 1 month we are getting 40 million hits. And one more thing to before I complete my presentation, there was the last slide. Well, okay, so this is the address, and more importantly, we are looking for JavaScript developers from India. Okay, we are hiring. So if anybody interested and have very good JavaScript skills, talk to me. Okay, today or tomorrow. Okay, so that will be very interesting for you. And we have an upcoming Wikimedia developer camp. Okay, so the invitation, it's based on some registration, and we want to make sure that only actual developers are participating. So you can just go to or just Google about Wikimedia Dev Camp. It's at IIM Bangalore. So please participate. Yeah. Thank you.